LoveLore Library. Your Highness, seduction is against the rules. Yingxue lifted her dress and ran to Shan Bao in a few quick steps, patting its head. Roar. Shan Bao reluctantly turned its head. Yingxue wrapped her arms around its neck and rubbed against it, her voice soft and gentle. You like me so much, yet you won't let me touch you. Shan Bao pretended to be angry and bared its teeth at her. Who said it liked her? Stop being narcissistic. Give you a kiss. Yingxue looked at its proud little appearance and hugged it before planting a kiss on its head. Shan Bao lowered its head and swayed back and forth, ignoring Yingxue. Observing Shan Bao's behavior, Yingxue didn't understand. What's wrong? Are you shy? She imagined if Shan Bao were a person, it would probably be shy and modest now. Thinking about it made her smile. An arrogant tiger like it won't be shy. The man's cold voice was filled with displeasure. Suddenly, Shan Bao raised its head and roared, as if to protest against Chu Yihan's remark. Yingxue hugged Shan Bao and gently comforted it. Glaring at Chu Yihan, she said, the moment you arrived, Shan Bao was about to run away. That's because it's useless, Chu Yihan snorted coldly, a hint of disdain in his eyes. Roar. Shan Bao's voice was weak, tinged with a hint of grievance. Shan Bao, I'll give you more food. Don't be afraid. Yingxue rubbed Shan Bao's soft fur, treating it like a dog. Some of its fur fell on her dress. Chu Yihan was extremely displeased as he pulled Yingxue up. You're hugging it instead of me. He didn't believe his embrace wasn't as comfortable as a tiger's. Roar. Shan Bao raised its head at Chu Yihan as if challenging him. Yingxue understood its meaning and smiled. Your Highness, look. I'm hugging it. Shan Bao is so proud. I think it's too full. There's no need for it to eat meat tonight. Chu Yihan pulled Yingxue, ready to leave. Shan Bao's sharp claws dug into the ground. It felt unfair. Yingxue didn't come, it hasn't eaten its fill recently. Shan Bao thought. Your Highness, I want to feed Shan Bao first. Yingxue pouted and acted coquettishly with Chu Yihan. His eyes darkened as he turned around and glared at Shan Bao. Shan Bao's muscular body trembled. The sunset was beautiful. Yingxue sat on Tiger Mountain, feeding Shan Bao meat while leaning against Chu Yihan, admiring the scenery. A layer of red was wrapped in a golden glow, reflecting a dazzling light. There was no regret at the end of the day at all. Instead, it made people look forward to the warm and peaceful time that followed. After Shan Bao was full, it flipped over onto its back and fell asleep beside Yingxue's feet. Today was a day of contentment. Yingxue teased Shan Bao before grabbing Chu Yihan's hand and scratching his palm. She deliberately asked, Your Highness, is it itchy? She was curious. Was Chu Yihan ticklish? I don't feel anything, Chu Yihan replied calmly. Yingxue's hands reached for Chu Yihan's waist. Just as she was about to tickle him, he suddenly grabbed her hands and lifted her, placing her on his lap. Yingxue looked at her hands that were trapped by Chu Yihan and pouted angrily. Your Highness, you're breaking the rules. He lured her into tickling him, so how did he end up trapping her? Chu Yihan thought. Where did I break the rules? Chu Yihan approached Yingxue gently, his hot breath causing her skin to tremble. Yingxue wants to cook. Yingxue's eyes widened. Chu Yihan's ethereal and handsome face was mere inches away, emanating a cold and restrained aura with a hint of subtle allure. She swallowed nervously, feeling as though she might be drawn into him. Your Highness, about the mother and daughter in the main hall, Mochi was about to seek instructions when he witnessed the scene before him, causing him to freeze in place. Suddenly, Su Yingxue pushed Chu Yihan away and pretended to squat down to play with Shan Bao. Chu Yihan shot a menacing glance at Mochi. Mochi's legs trembled, his mind racing. Was it too late to buy a coffin now? Tell them to leave. Chu Yihan's face turned grim, his displeasure evident. As Mochi was about to leave, Su Yingxue called out, "Wait. It's not dinner time yet. Why rush them away?" Su Yingxue's words revived Mochi. "Princess Consort, do you mean to have them stay for dinner?" Mochi, driven by a strong survival instinct, kept addressing Su Yingxue as Princess Consort, hoping she would spare him. Su Yingxue blushed. "We're not married yet. Please call me by my name. You are already the mistress of the 9th prince's mansion. That's how I've always seen it." Mochi insisted earnestly. Chu Yihan raised an eyebrow, the intensity of his presence easing up. Su Yingxue chuckled. "In that case, as the mistress, I'll decide. Let them stay until after dinner, and then we'll see if your highness is interested in meeting them." "Yes, I'll relay the order immediately." Mochi hurriedly left the scene. Chu Yihan pulled Su Yingxue into his arms and playfully pinched her nose. "My dear mistress is arranging guests for me. I'm not interested in meeting them." "I know you're not interested, but they are eager to meet you. Let them yearn for you." "Let's go have dinner," Su Yingxue said, holding on to Chu Yihan's arm with a mischievous glint in her eyes. Chu Yihan smiled. All right. His little woman was quite the tease. He liked everything she did. He had planned to take Su Yingxue to the Fictional pavilion for dinner, followed by a soak in the hot spring to relax. However, Su Yingxue wanted to cook dinner for him herself. Chu Yihan's eyebrows twitched, his expression uncertain. Seeing his reaction, Su Yingxue pouted, "What's wrong? Don't you want to try my cooking?" "No, I'm just surprised." "I didn't know you could cook," Chu Yihan admitted. "I can't." Su Yingxue blinked innocently, then quickly added, "But I can learn. You have many chefs in the manor. I can ask one to teach me." Chu Yihan remained silent. Su Yingxue was excited. She dragged Chu Yihan to the kitchen and asked the old steward to gather all the chefs. She then selected two who were skilled in preparing Chu Yihan's favorite dishes to teach her how to cook. Seriously praising Su Yingxue's cooking skills, this was Su Yingxue's first time in the kitchen. Usually, she dealt with medicinal herbs, thinking that handling chicken, duck, fish, and meat wouldn't be more challenging than herbs. After all, she could distinguish and utilize thousands of herbs, so she believed she could handle these ingredients as well. However, reality proved otherwise. Su Yingxue had planned to make 5 dishes: bird's nest soup with rock sugar, wine-marinated duck, dragon well-tea shrimp, clear soup with dragon's beard vegetable, and sugar-steamed cheese. But from the moment she picked up the kitchen knife, none of the ingredients seemed to cooperate. The rock sugar wouldn't break, the duck meat burned, the shrimp turned black, the dragon's beard changed color, and the sugar-steamed cheese looked like a big white bun when it came out of the pot. Chu Yihan had been waiting at the dining table for over 2 hours. Su Yingxue felt too embarrassed to bring out even a single plate of the 5 dishes. In frustration, she tugged at her sleeves. "Are you done?" Chu Yihan approached, encircling Su Yingxue's waist and gently rubbing his chin against her shoulder. Su Yingxue bit her lip, feeling embarrassed. "Your Highness, why don't we let the chef make it?" She feared that Chu Yihan might get poisoned by her cooking. Chu Yihan's gaze fell on the scattered plates, and Su Yingxue didn't even have time to cover them. He instructed the chef, "Bring the dishes made by the Princess Consort over." The 2 chefs exchanged glances and then suggested, Your Highness, why don't we cook again and serve you and the Princess Consort? Are you questioning the Princess Consort's skills? Chu Yihan's eyes turned cold, and the entire kitchen was filled with a strong sense of oppression. The two chefs instantly knelt. We wouldn't dare. Please spare us, Your Highness. Yes. Chu Yihan kept his words brief. The two chefs promptly arranged the dishes Su Yingxue had made and placed them on the table. Upon returning, they didn't forget to praise her with a smile. The Princess Consort is pure and sincere. Her cooking is unique, surpassing ordinary standards. Yes, yes. The Princess Consort is beautiful and skillful. Despite our many years of experience, we still can't match her. Please teach us in the future. The two chefs spared no effort in flattering Su Yingxue. Su Yingxue looked at them in shock. You watched me cook, and yet you still say that. Doesn't your conscience hurt? The two chefs smiled and said in unison, it doesn't hurt. The Princess Consort is truly amazing. Su Yingxue was speechless. Their greatest skill probably wasn't their culinary expertise. Since the chefs speak so highly, I'm looking forward to it. Princess Consort, accompany me for dinner. Chu Yihan pinched Su Yingxue's cheek and brought her to the dining table. Su Yingxue looked at the bland dishes on the table, her heart sinking. If Your Highness can't eat it, don't force yourself. She didn't dare to eat it herself. Chu Yihan picked up his chopsticks easily and took a maroon-colored shrimp. I won't force myself. Then, he ate it, and a strong flavor spread between his lips and teeth. Chu Yihan swallowed the entire prawn and told Su Yingxue without changing his expression, this dish is very delicious. It has whetted my appetite. Is that so? Su Yingxue expressed her doubts. Was she blind, or had Chu Yihan lost his sense of taste? The old steward gave Chu Yihan a bowl of rice. He quickly finished it with the dishes and asked for a second bowl. The old steward smiled and was very pleased. It's been a long time since I've seen Your Highness have such a good appetite. It shows that the prince's cooking is excellent. That's right. Our Princess Consort is beautiful and kind-hearted. Her medical skills are outstanding. Even her culinary skills are unparalleled. None of the women in the great Qing dynasty can compare to the Princess Consort. Chase away, banish. Mo Qi was earnestly flattering, and his survival instinct grew stronger. Su Yingxue had a feeling that not only Chu Yihan but also the old steward and Mo Qi, as well as the chefs in the prince's mansion, might have lost their sense of smell. The smell emanating from the dishes on the table was unpleasant, let alone delicious. However, Chu Yihan seemed to be enjoying his meal. Su Yingxue rubbed her stomach and felt hungry. She served herself a bowl of rice and began eating. But when she took her first bite, tears welled up in her eyes. She suddenly felt sorry for Chu Yihan. But when she paused, Chu Yihan poured her a glass of water. Eat slowly, he said gently. His actions were unexpectedly tender, resembling those of an ordinary husband, without a trace of pride or nobility. Su Yingxue drank the water he offered. Whether it was due to her taste buds failing or an illusion of happiness and sweetness, she found the taste of her poorly cooked food to be delicious. Together with Chu Yihan, they almost finished the dishes she had prepared. Mo Qi and the old steward looked hungry. After the meal, Chu Yihan took Su Yingxue for a stroll in the garden. As the old steward instructed the servants to clear the table, he had a thought. Are the dishes made by the Princess Consort truly so wonderful? Your Highness has never eaten so much. Mo Qi shared this doubt. The two exchanged glances, then simultaneously picked up their chopsticks and tasted the food. Mo Qi's expression immediately contorted. Your Highness, is your sense of taste do your highness need to see a doctor? The old steward quickly drank some water to compose himself, then patted Mochi's shoulder. That's the taste of happiness. You'll understand once you're married. Mochi shook his head, still somewhat shaken. If I need to see a doctor for my sense of taste after marriage, I'd rather not get married. This ailment couldn't be cured in a short time. In the main hall, Zhenzhen and Xinlan were left behind. The old steward mentioned that Han might want to see them, so Zhenzhen insisted on waiting until Han arrived. However, it was late at night. Not only Han, but even the servants of the prince's mansion needed to rest. The old steward sent 2 guards to escort Zhenzhen and Xinlan out. Zhenzhen was full of joy, thinking that Han was finally going to see her, but to her surprise, when she stepped out, she found herself outside the gates of the prince's mansion. Realizing this, she immediately rushed back inside. Where's your highness? Didn't you say you'd take us to see your highness? How dare you take us out of the mansion? What's your name? If you dare to neglect us like this, I'll tell your highness. The guards of the mansion were battle-hardened soldiers who had served with Han. They had stern faces and imposing auras. The guard coldly informed them, "Your highness never mentioned wanting to see you. He has retired for the night. Leave quickly and don't soil the mansion grounds." Xinlan's eyes widened, enraged by the guard's words. Outrageous. We are guests of the prince's mansion. Your highness is busy with official matters, hence asking us to wait. Now that he wishes to summon us at night, you dare to drive me out. Beware, your highness might chop off your heads. Get out of the way and let me in. I want to see your highness. Zhenzhen's face paled. Her hairpin trembled violently as she attempted to push past. The guard swiftly drew a gleaming knife and pressed it against her neck. How dare you? This is the 9th prince's mansion, not a place for your antics. Your highness has been with the princess all day and has no official duties. You've been a nuisance in the mansion and still refuse to leave. If you cause any more disturbance, I'll take your heads first and then report to your highness. Ambition Bloat, you dare. I'm the madam, and my daughter is the county lord. You dare to kill us. Xinlan said, hands on her hips, looking arrogant. What's to fear? Military orders are authoritative. One must not act recklessly in front of the prince's mansion. We have your highness orders. Those who cause trouble can be executed first, with the report to follow. His gleaming blade shimmered under the moonlight, sending chills down the spine from a distance. Xinlan couldn't tolerate such a threat. She immediately pulled Zhenzhen into the carriage. On the way back to Changxin Marquis Manor, Xinlan still felt a lingering fear. She patted her chest. I was scared to death. The palace guards of this prince's mansion are too terrifying. They disregarded the face of Changxin Marquis Manor and even mentioned acting first and reporting later. If they hadn't left earlier, they might have already become corpses. Xinlan sighed secretly. Luckily, they ran fast. Xinlan saw that Zhenzhen hadn't spoken for a long time. She covered the back of her hand with her palm and said with concern, My daughter, are you scared silly? What's going on? Mother, we've been played by Yingxue. Zhenzhen gritted her teeth with half of her face buried in the shadows. Yingxue knew we were waiting for your highness, but she deliberately delayed your highness time. It's fine if she didn't let your highness see us, but these people must have been ordered by her to chase us away. That insidious and vicious woman, after obtaining your highness' imperial seal as a betrothal gift, became arrogant. How dare she not put you, her aunt, and me, her cousin, in her eyes? Zhenzhen kicked the wall of the carriage angrily, her eyes red. So it's Yingxue. Su Xinlan exclaimed. Strangely, your highness doesn't want to see us, but he doesn't drive us away either. It's that little bitch Su Yingxue who's deliberately messing with us. She even made us go a day without food or water. Su Xinlan slapped her thigh in anger. She had seduced Marquis Changxin and had been living a life of luxury. She had never been hungry before. Today, she was exhausted and starving. Clutching her growling stomach, she sighed heavily. Daughter, we can't go back to the 9th Prince's mansion. With Su Yingxue around, not only will you not see your highness, but you'll also be in danger of losing your head. The palace guards of the 9th Prince's mansion could act first and report later. They wouldn't even give a face to Marquis Changxin. They couldn't gamble with their lives. But I'm not willing. Mother, I'm also grandfather's granddaughter and the county lord. That Su Yingxue isn't even the village head, so why can she marry the 9th prince and I can't even be a secondary consort? Zhenzhen's ambition grew even more after witnessing the power and wealth of the 9th prince's mansion. Su Xinlan was unwilling to accept this, but she had been warned and taught a lesson by Su Yingxue several times. Today, even a palace guard from the 9th prince's mansion almost killed her. She thought about it and said, Zhenzhen, actually the prime minister's estate is also very powerful. You see, even the emperor can't decide for the 9th prince, but the 9th prince has always been polite to the old prime minister. The prime minister's son is handsome, and he was elected at a young age. He is now a 6th rank official in the Imperial Academy. With the Prime Minister's support, he will also be an extremely powerful official in the future. Why don't you forget about the 9th prince? So what? Zhenzhen threw Su Xinlan's hand away with a look of disdain. How could he compare to the 9th prince? Or can he kill his way into the palace and snatch the emperor's imperial seal to give me as a betrothal gift, making me a woman more noble than the empress? Compared to the 9th prince, the son of the prime minister and a 6th rank official is just trash. Troubling Su Xinlan, the marriage that once satisfied her, even making her feel like she had climbed the social ladder, was instantly devalued by Su Yingxue after encountering her. Su Xinlan sighed. Originally, it was she who had sabotaged the marriage arrangements within the prime minister's family, ruining the engagement between the young master and the daughter of a minor official, just so Zhenzhen could have the chance to marry into it. But now, she wasn't satisfied again. Su Xinlan felt exhausted. Mother, we can't always be so short-sighted. Now that we have the chance to fight for it and become the noblest woman in the world, how can you just watch me submit to someone else? Zhenzhen said coquettishly. Who knows, Su Yingxue might even become the empress in the future, the mother of the world. What if she doesn't like us and kills us with a wave of her hand? Su Xinlan felt a chill at the back of her neck. She quickly hugged her neck and rolled her eyes. This can't happen. Su Yingxue, that little slut, has been trying to curry favor with the eldest brother and third brother's families. She's targeting us, allowing her to climb to the position of empress. Not to mention you and me, even your younger brother will have to pay with his life. If we die, the title and property will fall into the hands of that sickly child. I would be so angry. She had planned for so many years, finally managing to anger that sickly person in the West Garden to death. She married off her daughters and ruined her son's future, all the benefits falling on her children. She had been working hard for so many years. If it was destroyed in Su Yingxue's hands, she would not die in peace. Thinking of this, she began to conspire with Zhenzhen. Daughter, you must marry into the 9th prince's mansion. In the future, who will be the woman by the 9th prince's side? It's still uncertain. Zhenzhen smiled proudly. Yes. If I become the empress in the future, mother, you will be a first-rank madam. Su Xinlan covered her mouth and laughed. This beautiful dream allowed her to have a good night's sleep. A few days later, she returned to the Marquis Manor. Su Qingji was busy preparing for Su Yingxue's wedding. He followed Chu Yihan's instructions and did not put Su Yingxue under any pressure. He would rather have everyone in the Marquis Manor busy than let Su Yingxue be busy. Therefore, this month, Su Qingji called his sons, daughters, and granddaughters back to the manor to stay for a long time to prepare for Su Yingxue's marriage. Su Dingwei and Qin Wan had received Su Yingxue's favor, so they naturally respected her. Qin Wan and Su Han were especially careful with the decorations in the inner manor. Even Madame Yin had moved to the Marquis Manor. To thank Su Yingxue for taking care of Su Miaoyan and making her fair and fat, Madame Yin also treated Su Yingxue's marriage as her daughter's marriage and did her best. It was rare for Su Qingji to see all his children so united, so he was naturally very happy. However, Qin Wan suddenly came to tell him, "Father, Aunt is back. She said she wants to see you and is waiting in the front hall." Su Qingji was drawing up the guest list for the Marquis Manor. When he heard this, he frowned. Tell her to go back and not come to the Marquis Manor for no reason. He had 3 sons and a daughter. Su Xinlan was the only one he hated the most. Su Dingheng had been mediocre and useless in his life. Fortunately, he had been taught a lesson by Su Yingxue and obediently stayed in the Marquis Manor as a good-for-nothing. He could not help, but at least he did not cause trouble. However, Su Xinlan was always restless and always wanted to cause trouble. If it wasn't for Marquis Changxin's many years of friendship with him, he would have wanted to teach Su Xinlan a lesson every time he saw her. Now, she was still rushing over to cause trouble. He was annoyed when he saw her. Su Xinlan's trick Su Qingzi's attitude, Qin Wan anticipated. As soon as Aunt arrived, she apologized, saying she hadn't been able to help Father and the Marquis Manor before. She's here now to see if she can assist with Yingxue's wedding and to hear Father's instructions. Although Qin Wan didn't care for Su Xinlan, as a noblewoman and the eldest sister-in-law, Qin Wan still had to relay Su Xinlan's message to Su Qingji. Su Qingji snorted. If she doesn't cause trouble, that's enough. What help can she offer? Even though Father feels that way, today Aunt brought an invitation from Marquis Changxin. Seeing that it was personally written by Marquis Changxin, why not go and meet him? Qin Wan handed the invitation to Su Qingji. Su Qingji, seeing it was indeed Marquis Changxin's handwriting, a strength Su Xinlan couldn't imitate, decided to go to the front hall. Su Xinlan's attire today was subdued, with a hint of joy that matched the festive atmosphere of the Marquis Manor, making her less detestable. Su Qingji sat down with his usual stern expression. Marquis Changxin sent you to inquire about Yingxue's wedding. Tell him everything is in order here. He needn't worry. Yes, Daddy. Su Xinlan smiled and bowed. I'll have someone prepare tea for Aunt, Qin Wan said, noticing the exchange. Eldest sister-in-law, if you're not busy, sit with me for a while. Su Xinlan, unusually gentle, smiled at Qin Wan and pulled her to sit beside her. Qin Wan, suspicious, remained wary but had to keep a composed demeanor. What's on your mind? Eldest daughter-in-law isn't as leisurely as you. There are many matters in the Marquis Manor she needs to attend to. Don't waste her time. Su Qingji was well aware of Su Xinlan's tendency to cause trouble. Father, I understand eldest sister-in-law is busy, but I have 2 matters to discuss that concern you. Su Xinlan, appearing well-behaved, folded her handkerchief and placed it on her knees. What's the matter? Do you need my opinion? Qin Wan was wary, fearing Su Xinlan might implicate Su Han. As expected, Su Xinlan smiled. Eldest sister-in-law, the first matter concerns you. Your Hainer has been home for so long. Aren't you worried about her marriage? She's young, in her 20s. She shouldn't waste her youth at home. Don't you care about her marriage? Xinlan was taken aback. As expected. I and my husband will decide on Heiner's marriage. You needn't concern yourself, Aunt. Xinlan rejected firmly. Su Qingji glared at Su Xinlan. Stop meddling. I'll choose Heiner's marriage partner. It's not up to you. Su Xinlan, annoyed, asked Su Qingji, father decides. Did you already choose General Xiaoxing's family? General Xiaoxing's family. Su Qingji frowned, turning his gaze to Xinlan. Xinlan stood up and replied, Father, it's a family I've chosen for Heiner. General Xiaoxing comes from a humble background but served under Yingxue. Husband spoke highly of him. I intended to match him with Heiner, but I haven't discussed it with her yet. I'm not sure how Aunt found out. Zhenzhen can be a concubine. Xinlan looked at Su Xinlan with great caution. She always acted with discretion, and there was no way her family would leak secrets. But how did Su Xinlan manage to know about such a thing? Su Qingji furrowed his brows lightly. Having a good character is indeed admirable, but Heiner is still the daughter of the Marquis Manor, my granddaughter. I can't bear to see her marry into poverty. Su Qingji felt it was unfair for Su Han, with her character and appearance, to marry into a poor family. But he was also puzzled. How did Su Xinlan manage to get involved in this matter? He stared at her sharply. You've become quite bold. How dare you send someone to your eldest brother's house to gather information? Su Xinlan's hair stood on end as she hurriedly explained, that's not true. Recently, General Xiaoxing was promoted and is now serving under Marquis. I saw him interacting with brother's household and asked a question. Xinlan discreetly lowered her eyes. Su Xinlan had somehow found out about this matter, even though her husband was involved. This couldn't be considered a favorable match. Su Qingji gave Su Xinlan a sidelong glance. You sure know how to meddle. How is that meddling? As an aunt, I care about our family child. When Heiner marries General Xiaoxing in the future, I naturally want my husband to guide her more. My husband's authority in the army is higher than my eldest brother's. If he helps General Xiaoxing, he'll advance faster in the future. Su Xinlan's eyes flashed with pride, causing Xinlan to lower her head in submission. Xinlan felt displeased as she lowered her eyes. What is the second matter Aunt wishes to discuss today? Xinlan knew Su Xinlan's intentions weren't that simple. She had been visiting frequently and had put a lot of effort into controlling Su Han's marriage. Su Xinlan took a sip of tea and smiled. Eldest sister-in-law is perceptive. My second matter is also related to our Marquis Manor, and of course, it concerns my daughter. Su Qingji was too impatient to listen to her nonsense. He wanted to hand her over to Xinlan and leave. But Su Xinlan stopped him, her eyes sparkling. Father, the 9th prince holds a high position, and the situation in the 9th prince's mansion is complex. I fear Yingxue won't be able to manage on her own if she marries there. Others might have ulterior motives. I think. Why not let Zhenzhen accompany Yingxue in marriage? They could support each other as sisters. What did you say? Xinlan had anticipated something, but she hadn't expected Su Xinlan to be so bold. She had schemed this. Su Qingzi's heart surged with anger. He glared at Su Xinlan and shouted fiercely, say that again. Su Xinlan, always afraid of her father, especially when he glared at her, took 2 steps back but continued with a shy face. Wasn't I thinking about Yingxue? She's young, and I'm afraid she won't be able to handle the title of 9th princess consort. I'm worried she'll be schemed against, so I thought why not have Zhenzhen accompany her. The 2 sisters can take care of each other. To prevent Su Qingji from getting angry and harming her, Su Xinlan took 2 more steps back and smiled as she said, "Father, Zhenzhen is a good girl. She doesn't want to trouble Yingxue. She doesn't want the position of a primary wife. Just being a secondary consort would suffice. She was made a county lord last year. With this status, marrying a prince and becoming a secondary consort would be more than enough." Slap. A loud crash. After a loud slap, there was the sound of someone smashing the table and chairs. "Throw him out of Marquis Manor and then kill him." Su Xinlan lay sprawled on the ground, feeling as if every bone in her body had been shattered by the pain. She vomited blood as she gazed at Su Qingji, unable to utter a single coherent sentence. Su Qingji's face turned a furious shade of gray. "Su Xinlan, if you ever dare to set foot in my Marquis Manor again, I'll break every bone in your body and feed you to the dogs. You're utterly heartless, you wretch." He waved his hand and bellowed, "Men! Drag this wretch out and toss her out of the Marquis Manor. Don't soil the grounds of the Marquis Manor." His roar was so thunderous that it made the roof tiles tremble. But being an elderly man, Su Qingji, after being enraged by Su Xinlan, coughed several times and struggled to catch his breath. Seeing this, Qin Wan quickly called for Su Wei to assist Su Qingji. "Hurry, fetch the doctor and help father back to his room to rest." Su Qingji's face flushed red with anger, and he continued to shout about throwing Su Xinlan out. Qin Wan patted his back, urging him, "Father, don't be angry. Take care of your health. Leave this matter to me. Father, go back and rest. Su Wei, help father back." Su Wei nodded vigorously. "Yes, General. General, please don't get angry and harm yourself." Su Wei then turned to glare fiercely at Su Xinlan. Su Xinlan propped herself up against a pillar and got to her feet. She scolded Su Wei, "What are you staring at? You're just a servant, not fit to glare at me." Su Xinlan. Qin Wan called out her name and rebuked her sternly, "This is the Marquis of Marshall South's manor, not your Changxin Marquis Manor. Don't act out." Qin Wan, usually gentle with others, rarely spoke with such severity. Su Xinlan was momentarily taken aback. "What are you yelling for? Isn't every Marquis Manor my home? I'll say whatever I want. What's it to you?" Seeing that Su Yingxue was absent, she disregarded Qin Wan. Qin Wan, recalling that Su Xinlan had provoked Su Qingji and interfered in the marriage of the 2 girls, felt furious. She commanded the servants with a cold expression, "All of you, escort her out of the Marquis Manor, and inform everyone at the gates that from now on, even if she hangs herself in front of the Marquis Manor, she is not permitted to set foot inside, lest she defile the Marquis Manor." "Yes, madam." Old Madame Zhang, sent by Su Yingxue as Qin Wan's aide, was strong and nimble. Together with another servant, they lifted Su Xinlan and threw her out of the Marquis Manor. After she tumbled down the steps, old Madame Zhang declared before everyone, "Concubine of Marquis Changxin, listen up. The old general has ordered that you are forbidden to return to the manor or even approach its gates. Otherwise, I'll throw you out again." "Oh. Who's this? Why was she thrown out of the Marquis Manor? Look at her attire, she seems wealthy. Oh, she looks like old General Su's youngest daughter." Youngest daughter. The concubine of Marquis Changxin. Flirting with the old Marquis while bareheaded. TSK, hurry and leave. Don't catch any bad luck. Even her own family threw her out. She's heartless. People passing by in front of the manor were gossiping. Su Xinlan was in agony but managed to get up and curse at them all. "What are you looking at? Peasants. Even if I'm thrown out, I'm still the Marquis' daughter, the one the old Marquis favors the most. You can't even compare to me in 100 lifetimes. Get lost. After cursing them, Xinlan quietly made her way to the side door of the Marquis Manor. Although she had been expelled, her spies were still in place. A servant of the Marquis Manor was listening to her instructions. Xinlan tossed him 2 gold ingots and a hairpin. This is for you. As for what just happened in the residence, do you know what to say? Chapter 744. Protect Su Han. It was your highness who ordered Miss Zhenzhen and Miss Yingxue to marry into the prince's mansion together. The old general disagreed and was angered by your highness to the point of vomiting blood. Now, our family's conflict, and because of this, General Xiaotian is afraid that our Marquis Manor will be overbearing, so he doesn't dare to agree to the marriage with Miss Su Han. When Xinlan heard this, she nodded in satisfaction and walked away leisurely. Upon her return today, she naturally knew that Su Qingji would not agree to her marrying Zhenzhen. However, this was not her goal. What she wanted to bribe was the servants in the Marquis Manor. She wanted them to spread the rumors in the Marquis Manor first, then spread them outside the manor and throughout the entire Jiangdu city. By then, the reputation of the Su family's daughters being jealous would spread. If Su Yingxue and Su Han wanted to get married, they would have to fulfill Zhenzhen's wish. Otherwise, Su Yingxue would be humiliated for the rest of her life, and Su Han would never be wanted by anyone. If she did not fulfill her daughter's wish, none of the Su family's daughters would be able to marry well. Zhenzhen waited in the manor for 2 days before going out for a gathering to drink tea. When she heard the rumors, she knew that her mother had already settled the matter. She was in a particularly good mood. She bought 2 more pieces of jewelry at the 1,000 Jiao Pavilion. She thought about marrying into the 9th prince's mansion in the future and adding to her dowry. In the 1,000 Jiao Pavilion, Su Han was also buying things for Su Yingxue. With Su Yingxue's introduction, she got to know Wu Jinyan. Knowing that she was going to marry Su Hao, she treated Wu Jinyan like a younger sister. Wu Jinyan treated her the same. However, Wu Jinyan had a lot of gossip with the ladies around her every day, and some of them were heard by Su Han. Wu Jinyan was afraid that she would feel uncomfortable, so she patted her hand and advised her, "Don't take these words to heart. I've already asked the people in the shop to help clarify it. We won't let these rumors spread throughout Jiangdu City." Su Han looked serious. "I don't care about myself, but Yingxue's marriage can't be affected. Your Highness told her to focus on her medical studies and do what she wants. If she knew about this, she would be distracted." Wu Jinyan admired Su Han's integrity and her love for her sisters. She had wanted to have such a good sister since she was young. Therefore, she became even more polite to Su Han. "Don't worry. Yingxue hasn't been out these days, so she probably doesn't know. I'll send people to deal with her without leaving a trace. I believe that after a few days, there won't be any bad rumors." Su Han believed in Wu Jinyan's ability. She smiled and said, "Thank you." Wu Jinyan held her hand and went downstairs with her things. She wanted to send Su Han to the carriage herself because she was worried about her. However, she saw a tall figure guarding the stairs with a knife. The masked man nodded at Su Han. "Miss, are you going back?" Su Han nodded. "Yes." This person immediately reached out to take the things from their hands and turned around to take them to the car. His voice was a little unpleasant, and he didn't speak much, but Wu Jinyan could tell. "Your guard is loyal. Besides, I can see that his steps are steady. In terms of martial arts, he's not an ordinary person." Su Han smiled faintly. "He's a general in the army. I thought it was a waste of his talent to protect me, but he said he was here to repay his kindness. I didn't know how to refuse him, so I had no choice." Su Han had advised Song Qingyi several times not to waste his time on her. However, Song Qingyi was persistent. He was always by her side to protect her silently. It made her feel that she was being a little heartless to chase him away. Chapter 745, A Magnificent Way. Cousin is truly talented. You're discussing marriage with General Xiaotian, and you even have a bodyguard with you. No wonder the Prince of Yangon County treated you like that. A slightly mocking voice came from above the stairs. Zhenzhen deliberately didn't control her volume. At this moment, in the spacious Thousand-Jiao Pavilion, all attention was focused on Su Han. Su Han frowned and glanced at Zhenzhen. Miss Yi, it seems you've already found something satisfactory. If convenient, Miss Yi, please settle the bill downstairs first, along with the previous ones. Wu Jinyan smiled and diverted the topic, refocusing attention on Zhenzhen. Zhenzhen descended the stairs leisurely. Passing by, she snorted softly, "Of course, I will settle the bill. Marquis Manor is wealthy. Do you think I'd miss out on your money? I thought Brother Su Hao's fiancé was generous, but it seems she only cares about such trifling profits. With your behavior, this Thousand-Jiao Pavilion will likely close sooner or later, won't it?" Zhenzhen tossed the silver notes to the accountant while speaking. "We're family. Boss Wu, you're so stingy. I wonder how much profit you make from other wealthy ladies." To protect Su Han, Wu Jinyan was being targeted, so Zhenzhen slandered him. The young ladies present weren't lacking in money. Yet upon hearing Zhenzhen's words, they began to suspect that Wu Jinyan was taking advantage of them. Wu Jinyan couldn't help but feel embarrassed as the argument escalated. As Wu Jinyan prepared to retort, Su Han held her hand and shook her head. Su Han walked gracefully down the stairs, dressed in a fresh and elegant hibiscus-embroidered gown. Her voice was pleasant as she said, "These are my purchases for today. Please settle the bill first." Su Han handed the items to the clerk at the front desk, who immediately calculated the price. "Miss Su, that will be a total of 3,600 taels." "Great," he raised the silver note. "Please count it." Su Han promptly handed over the money, and the clerk accepted it in front of everyone. Su Han held the receipt and looked at Zhenzhen. She spoke softly, "Compared to me, you're not considered family. After all, you're from the Changxin Marquis bloodline. And was even expelled from the Changxin Marquis Manor by grandfather a few days ago. Your relationship with Jin Yan isn't close, but I'm her real sister. When I buy things from her, I always settle the accounts immediately. But you have credit. If I hadn't come today, I wouldn't have known that Jin Yan would allow such behavior to protect the Marquis Manor's reputation." Su Han shifted the topic, and the conflict immediately centered on Zhenzhen. She accused Wu Jinyan of taking advantage of her, but Su Han had paid him in full. Even her sister was paying the same price. Would Wu Jinyan take money from other noble ladies? As for her credit, it was a joke among the ladies. The young princess of the Liang Manor chuckled at her. "Zhenzhen, your Marquis Manor is wealthy. Why do you need to rely on credit so often? You're causing Boss Wu a huge loss." "That's right. You bought a heap of jewelry just the other day, and now another pile. I thought the Marquis Manor was truly affluent, but it seems it's all on credit. Look at her all bedecked in jewels. It's as if she's worried others won't notice her wealth. But where does her money truly come from? I wonder how many times she's relied on credit to make ends meet." Chapter 746, Rich People Never Pay on Credit. Are you all jealous of me? Zhenzhen raised an eyebrow. "My marriage, you all probably won't ever be able to match in your lifetime, right?" The young princess of the Liang Manor couldn't tolerate her arrogant demeanor. He's just a young master from the Prime Minister's estate. What's with your arrogance? Compared to your sister, the 9th Princess Consort, you're not even worthy of being her servant. Chui Han marrying Su Yingxue shocked the entire Great Qing dynasty, and naturally, the young princess of Liang Manor knew about it. Zhenzhen sneered at her. Maybe you're too old to catch a husband, and your hearing isn't up to par anymore, huh? 9th Prince wants to marry my sister as the main consort, but he also wants to take me as a secondary consort. What? The young princess of the Liang Manor frowned. Sister princess, it seems to be true. This news came from the Marquis of Marshall South's manor. It can't be baseless. The young lady beside the young princess of the Liang Manor whispered to her. What kind of nonsense is this? When the ladies heard this, they were envious of Zhenzhen, yet felt powerless to retaliate. Only Su Han and Wu Jinyan knew. Zhenzhen, stop talking nonsense. Wu Jinyan warned her angrily. The 9th prince never said such a thing. This is your and your mother's scheme. Don't flatter yourself. Me? This news came from the Marquis Manor. Who is Jiangdu City doesn't know about it. Zhenzhen raised her eyebrows. The bigger the commotion, the better it would be for Wu Jinyan's 1000-jiao pavilion. Those who know will naturally distinguish between facts and rumors. Rumors are always vulnerable. Su Han was calm and composed. She held Wu Jinyan's hand and advised her, don't make a fuss about this. Don't fall into her trap. Wu Jinyan nodded. She was about to escort Su Han out, but Zhenzhen quickly intercepted her. Why are you leaving, Sister Han? If you say that rumors can't withstand a single blow, then what about you and the Prince of Yangon County? Was that also just a rumor? I still remember how grand it was when you were the regional princess. Why are you now only talking about marriage with a lowly general? This is embarrassing for the Marquis Manor. After all, you are still a legitimate daughter of the Marquis Manor. Her laughter was loud, arousing the interest of everyone previously discussing Su Han. Seeing this, they all started to talk about Su Han. Su Han is getting married again. Which general is so unlucky? Haven't you heard? That person is from a poor family with no one to rely on. Although Su Han is no longer the regional princess, it's too embarrassing to marry into a poor family with nothing. Hey, so what if she's abandoned? It was already good enough that a humble class wanted her. She's still a piece of trash who can't give birth. You guys, Wu Jinyan rushed out in anger, but Su Han held her back. You're the boss. You can't offend the guests. But Wu Jinyan was frustrated. She couldn't bear to see Su Han suffer like this. What they said is the truth. I can't afford to remarry. I'll just ignore it. Su Han remained calm, but a hint of loneliness flashed in her eyes. She maintained her elegant demeanor and walked past Zhenzhen with her back straight as if she and the rumors couldn't hurt her at all. Zhenzhen was annoyed. These rumors could hurt people, but Su Han remained as unfazed as iron. Heiner. Su Han's carriage was right in front of them. Chapter 747. Xiaotian came to pester Su Han just as she was about to get into the car. A figure appeared behind her and blocked her way. Heiner. Was what they said true? Are you getting married again? Su Han was slightly surprised. How could it be Xiaotian? It had been a long time since they last met, and Su Han had almost forgotten about him. Although his appearance somewhat overlapped with the one in her memory, he had suffered a lot of blows. He had lost weight, and even his face did not look as handsome. Su Han smiled self-deprecatingly. Sure enough, things had changed. However, she did not want to waste time on people from the past. She said politely, Prince Yangon County, can you move aside? I'm going back to the residence. No, I can't. Heiner, answer me. Are you getting married again? Who was that General Xiaotian? I have never heard of him. Why did you marry such a nameless man? How is he worthy of you? Chu Xiaotian grabbed Su Han's hand anxiously. The moment he heard about her marriage, his heart felt like it was being gnawed by thousands of ants. It was hurt. His woman, Su Han, was such a good woman. How could she marry someone else? Su Han stepped back to avoid him, but Chu Xiaotian was about to grab her again. A strong arm grabbed Chu Xiaotian's hand and asked, Miss, are you okay? Su Han looked at the iron mask and shook her head. I'm fine. Song Qingyi only had a pair of dark eyes. He was strong but not overbearing, and surprisingly made people feel at ease. Chu Xiaotian was especially angry when he was stopped. Who are you? Get lost. This is between me and Heiner. It's none of your business. Chu Xiaotian worked in the 5 cities military department, and most of the military officials knew him. Even if they were Su Han's guards, they would still respect Chu Xiaotian. However, Song Qingyi did not do so. This was the first time he had managed to defeat Chu Xiaotian. He warned, I have been ordered to escort the miss back to her residence. If you are not related to her, please step back. He was neither arrogant nor humble. He wasn't afraid of Chu Xiaotian's identity, and he protected Su Han well. He walked back to Su Han, and his tall figure shrouded her. Miss, get in the carriage. Perhaps it was because she had just fought with Chu Xiaotian, but his eyes looked a little passionate. Su Han nodded. Her soft nasal voice made Song Chenji's heart throb. He took out a seat and asked Su Han to get in. Chu Xiaotian wanted to fight back, but Song Qingyi protected Su Han with his right hand and blocked Chu Xiaotian with his left hand. Chu Xiaotian's fist landed on Song Chenji's wrist. His wrist guard was a pair of iron fists. Chu Xiaotian used all his strength to hit the iron fist, but Song Chenji's inner force forced him to take a few steps back. He looked at the back of his hand, which was red and bleeding. He gritted his teeth. Who are you? How dare you stop me? He had never seen such a powerful martial artist in the army. What was his background? After Su Han got into the car, Song Qingyi closed the door for her and said, I'm General Song Qingyi. It's my responsibility to protect Mississippi. No matter who comes, you can't hurt Miss at all. Otherwise, I will risk my life. One was to fight for his life, forcefully extinguishing Chu Xiaotian's thoughts of making a move. He could not defeat Song Qingyi. In the carriage, Su Han was slightly shocked when she heard that. She did not expect Song Qingyi to not only know how to repay kindness but also be such a hot-blooded man. He would say something like risking his life for her. His words were definitely not a joke. Just by looking at him blocking Chu Xiaotian and not letting him take a step closer to him, one could tell. Chapter 748 Su Yingxue leaves the medicine hut. Chu Xiaotian could only watch as Song Qingyi escorted Su Han's carriage away. He gritted his teeth and said, Song Qingyi, I will not let you off. When Su Han returned to Marquis Manor, Song Qingyi couldn't follow her into the inner courtyard, so he waited outside. Jifin came out to help her carry her things. Seeing her frown, she asked with concern, Miss, what happened? Nothing much. I just ran into Chu Xiaotian, Su Han said lightly. What? Xinlan happened to walk over. Upon hearing this, she hurriedly pulled Su Han aside to check. How did you meet him? Heiner, did he do anything to you? Chu Xiaotian's persistent pursuit of Su Han, despite their severed ties, deeply concerned Xinlan. Mother, Don't worry. With General Song protecting me, Chu Xiaotian won't be able to get close to me. Su Han smiled as she mentioned Song Qingyi. Mom, General Song is a loyal man. I hope you can support him in the future to repay his kindness to me. Qin Wan frowned slightly. Your father had already applied for him to be promoted to deputy general, but he rejected it. If you want him to be promoted again, he has to wait at least 3 years, or he has to make significant contributions. The promotion of a general requires tangible achievements. Su Han was shocked. Why did he refuse? Qin Wan shook her head. Your father has asked him before. He said that there's no one protecting you now, and he's afraid you'll be in danger at any time. It's inconvenient for him to leave, so he hasn't taken the position. Su Han felt a pang of guilt. She didn't expect Song Qingyi to sacrifice his future for her. She asked Qin Wan, did Daddy mention any other opportunities for him? I will persuade him to take office as soon as possible. Although he came to repay my kindness, he shouldn't let it hinder his future. Let's discuss this later. Generals are all stubborn. If they don't listen to your father, they might not listen to you either. Qin Wan held Su Han's hand and entered the house, leaving Jifin to handle the chores. When they were alone, a trace of worry appeared on Qin Wan's face. Heiner, the marriage arrangement mother had originally made for you has a bad reputation now. General Xiao Jing's attitude has also wavered. This was within Su Han's expectations, so she wasn't too affected. Mom, if he doesn't want to proceed, there's no need to force him. I want to spend 2 more years with you and father. But, a woman ultimately has to get married, Heiner. Your father and I will never look down on you. Even if you want to stay at home for your whole life, I will take care of you forever. But with all the rumors circulating in the city, if there's no one to protect you, it breaks my heart. Qin Wan wasn't in a rush to marry off Su Han, but she didn't want her to be troubled by rumors. She knew Su Han was a resilient child at heart, but no matter how resilient she was, she couldn't afford to be at odds with everyone. This invisible pressure ultimately harmed her the most. Don't worry, Aunt. Soon, the rumors in the city won't harm my cousin anymore. Su Yingxue pushed open the door, bringing in the warmth of the winter sun. Qin Wan was surprised. Yingxue, why are you? Why did you come out? During this time, Su Yingxue had been immersed in her research at the medicine hut. Even the marriage arrangements were handled by the household, so she didn't have to worry about them. When the rumors started spreading, Su Qingji decided not to inform her. Now, she... Chapter 749. Witness Su Han knew that Su Yingxue had always been uncompromising and had a vengeful personality, so she quickly stepped forward to persuade her. Yingxue, 9th Prince, and Grandpa are handling this matter. Mom and I have already investigated the people in the mansion, and we've caught the rumormonger. You don't need to worry about this. The Scarlet Flame King is still recuperating in the mansion, so you should focus on caring for the patients and studying medicine. Su Han was afraid that Su Yingxue would rush into Changxin Marquis Manor and do something to Su Xinlan. If that happened, both of their reputations would suffer, and it would only fuel the gossip outside. Su Yingxue's long eyelashes drooped. Sister has already caught the spy in the residence. Take me to see him. This. Why don't we leave this matter to Heiner? Qin Wan was still concerned. After all, Chui Han had instructed that Su Yingxue shouldn't suffer any grievances before marriage. Even if Su Yingxue wasn't a bride waiting to be married, Qin Wan was still worried that Su Yingxue's actions might provoke 9th Prince's wrath. Su Han gave Qin Wan a reassuring look and bowed slightly. Mother, let me and Yingxue handle this matter. All right then. Qin Wan agreed reluctantly. She didn't dare to make decisions for Su Yingxue, but with Su Han's presence, Su Yingxue respected her as a sister and usually listened to her, so Xinlan felt relieved to let them handle it. Su Han took Su Yingxue to the woodshed and explained that the servant boy inside was the son of the aunt in charge of the inner courtyard. He had caused trouble in the mansion because of his gambling habit, which was funded by Su Xinlan. Su Yingxue listened silently along the way. If she said anything, Su Han would be able to guess what she was thinking. But since she remained silent and only responded with grunts during their conversation, Su Han started to worry. The door of the woodshed creaked open, and the man tied up inside started yelling. Xinlan went over and scolded him, "Shut up and answer Miss questions. Don't talk if she doesn't ask." "Got it." Xylan's imposing manner frightened the tall, thin man, who obediently shrank back. Su Yingxue walked up to him, her eyebrows raised slightly. "Did Su Xinlan give you money to cause trouble in the manor?" Yes, the man nodded vigorously. He was just greedy for money. Although his parents had decent salaries, it wasn't enough for his gambling habit. So when Su Xinlan offered him money, he readily accepted. "How much did Su Xinlan give you?" When Su Yingxue asked, the man immediately fell silent and curled up in the corner. Xinlan produced a paper bag and displayed its contents to Su Yingxue. "Miss, here's what we found on him, a gold ingot, a pearl hairpin, and some loose silver. Since he visited the gambling den yesterday, this loose silver likely represents his losses, which should amount to 2 gold ingots." Su Yingxue glanced at the silver in Xylan's hand and nodded. "Very well. Once this matter is settled, give him 2 more gold ingots." Xinlan was puzzled. Why was Su Yingxue giving him more money? Su Yingxue looked down at the man with a sharp glint in her eyes. "Follow me to Changxin Marquis Manor and confess everything Su Xinlan asked you to do. If you cooperate, he'll give you 2 more gold ingots. If you refuse, he'll use this money to buy your freedom and then beat you to death." Chapter 750. I have to copy books when I go out. Oh. Yes. The tall, thin man first shook his head vigorously, then struggled to crawl over and kowtow to Su Yingxue, indicating his willingness to speak, to say anything at all. "All right, have someone take him along," Su Yingxue instructed before leaving with Su Han. She smiled at Su Han and asked, "I'm headed to the Changxin Marquis Manor. Would you like to join me, sister?" "No. Yingxue, your wedding is next month. This isn't the time for trouble. How about I inform Grandpa and let him handle it?" Su Han held her hand. Given the circumstances, whether it was Zhenzhen or Su Xinlan, any trouble would become gossip in the Marquis Manor. Su Xinlan was exploiting the Marquis Manor's reputation and trying to force Zhenzhen to marry the 9th prince. They couldn't fall for Su Xinlan's trap. "Sister, don't worry. I won't cause trouble or harm Zhenzhen. I just want to go to the Changxin Marquis Manor to treat a patient." Su Yingxue winked at Su Han. She had been silent earlier because she was pondering something. Now that she had figured it out, her quick-witted demeanor returned. Su Han felt more confident. With the certification in her possession and Su Yingxue's resourcefulness, it made sense to visit the Changxin Marquis Manor. Arrangements were made for a carriage, and when they boarded, Su Miaoyan, the clever little girl, had already snuck in. Her hair was tied in a ponytail, a tasseled hairpin swaying on her head. She pouted and glared at Su Yingxue and Su Han. "Sisters are so mean, you didn't even take me along when you went out to play. You don't care about me at all." When Su Miaoyan was upset, her cheeks puffed up like dumplings. Su Yingxue poked one of them, saying, "Even if I didn't bring you, you still came up. I snuck in by myself. How can that be the same? If Mother hadn't coincidentally gone to the official room, how could I have slipped out?" Su Miaoyan hooked her hair ends, looking quite daring. Ever since mother came to the Marquis Manor, I haven't stepped out once. Not to mention, I haven't seen my handsome brother for so long. Even when I wanted to go to the medicine hut to play with Sister Xue, mother wouldn't let me, fearing I'd disturb her. She locked me in the courtyard. I'm so bored to death. Su Miaoyan's tender face was full of grievance. Su Han looked serious. Miaoyan, we're going to the Changxin Marquis Manor to handle something, not to play. Why don't we take you out tomorrow? You can go back for now. I don't want to. Su Miaoyan quickly ran to Su Yingxue's side, hugging her. It wasn't easy for me to escape. If I go back now, mother will make me copy books as punishment. I want to go with you. I don't care what we're going to do in the Changxin Marquis Manor. Even if it's facing blades or flames, I'll go. Ha ha ha. Su Yingxue burst into laughter. She grabbed Su Miaoyan's ear. You said it yourself. Today, we'll take you to face blades and flames. Don't embarrass me. Su Miaoyan's eyes immediately lit up. Sister Xue is the best. I'll give you a kiss. She kissed Su Yingxue on the cheek. Su Yingxue wiped her face and sighed. Even if you face blades and flames, you'll still have to copy books when we go back. Su Miaoyan's expression turned a bit bitter. She told herself, I'll copy books then. I'll do it after I'm done playing. Even if she had to be punished for copying books, she would still be the happiest little girl after playing. Speaking of which, Su Yingxue was going to the Changxin Marquis Manor. Su Miaoyan asked excitedly, Sister Xue, how do you plan to deal with Zhenzhen? Your acupuncture skills are so powerful. Can you teach me? Chapter 751, Breaking into Marquis Changxin's manor. If Su Miaoyan could learn it, she would stab anyone who made her unhappy next time. Miaoyan, don't fan the flames. Your sister Xue is not allowed to make a move on this trip. Su Han thought that Su Yingxue probably wanted to use her medical skills to make a deal with the old Marquis. It was said that the old Marquis' health had not been good recently. If Su Yingxue could cure him and present evidence, the old Marquis, being a reasonable person, would naturally know how to resolve the matter. Su Miaoyan was a little regretful. Zhenzhen and Su Xinlan are so mean. Shouldn't sister slap them? Previously, Su Miaoyan was used to seeing Su Yingxue teach people a lesson. This time, Su Miaoyan couldn't watch Su Yingxue slap their faces, so she instantly became a little listless. Su Yingxue patted Su Miaoyan's head and lectured her, Miao Miao, be good. You must remember that martial arts and medical skills have to be used according to the situation. I'm now the future 9th Princess Consort. If one hits someone, your Highness will lose face along with me. Therefore, I've decided to plot against Su Xinlan and Zhenzhen this time. This made Su Miaoyan's eyes sparkle. Sister. How are you going to do it? It must be wonderful. Wow. Just thinking about it made her feel so excited. Su Han looked at Su Yingxue and Su Miaoyan's lively faces, and a touch of envy appeared in her eyes. In the Changxin Marquis Manor, the moment the three sisters arrived at the door, the guard was stunned. The three of them were all rare beauties in Jiangdu City. Su Yingxue was so beautiful that she could topple a country. Su Han was dignified and elegant, and although Su Miaoyan still looked like a little girl, one could already foresee how stunning she would be when she grew up. This was the first time he had seen such visitors, and the steward was startled out of his room. When he saw Su Yingxue and the other two, he was also shocked. "Three young misses, are you here to pay your respects to Madame Lan? The madam has not returned yet." Madame Lan. Why did I hear that the Changxin Marquis madam isn't surnamed Lan? Su Yingxue narrowed her eyes slightly. The steward was a well-dressed middle-aged man. When he heard this, his face immediately revealed disdain. That sickly person no longer has much power. Right now, in this manor, it is Madame Lan, old General Su's youngest daughter, who has the authority. Our Marquis' most beloved wife is the head of the household. The rules of the Marquis manor are strict. The Marquis' wife is the madam, and there is only one. Below her are only concubines and mistresses. How can she call herself a madam? Su Han was familiar with the rules of each mansion, so the steward felt embarrassed. This Madame Lan is now the one in charge of our manor. If you're here to cause trouble, leave quickly. Just these two girls who spoke made the steward feel that they were not to be trifled with. He was not confident, so it was better to send them away as soon as possible. Leave. We're guests who have written formal invitations. You didn't serve us tea and even chased us away. You are awe-inspiring as a servant. If I didn't know, I would have thought that you were the Marquis. This Changxin Marquis Manor has your surname. Su Miaoan's string of witty words was like a cannonball, shocking the steward. He cowered and took 2 steps back. You! What are you guys doing here? Su Yingxue smiled at him. I'm here to pay my respects to the Changxin Marquis madam. The steward invited Su Xinlan in first and immediately sent someone to invite her back to make the decision. He didn't dare to mess things up. He did not dare to let anyone come into contact with madam easily. For many years, Su Xinlan had instructed that even the children in the manor were not allowed to visit madam often, causing her to be depressed. In addition, she was already suffering from consumption. She would die in a few years. In this manner, Su Xinlan was the only one who ruled. Chapter 752. Seeing the Changxin Marquis madam, the steward was personally promoted by Su Xinlan, so he naturally had to work for her without worry. Su Han sat down in the front hall. She vaguely sensed this steward should be Su Xinlan's subordinate. He won't let us see the Changxin Marquis madam so easily. If Su Yingxue wanted to treat the Changxin Marquis madam, it would take some effort. He doesn't let us go, well, go by ourselves, then. Su Yingxue raised her eyebrows and left with Su Miaoyan. Su Han was still worried that Su Yingxue wouldn't be able to find the room of the Changxin Marquis madam. Su Yingxue took out a map and took Su Miaoyan to the entrance of the madam's courtyard. Su Miaoyan's eyes were filled with admiration. Wow! Sister Xue, you're so amazing. Have you been to Changxin Marquis Manor before? Your memory is so good. Su Yingxue shook her head. No, this is a map drawn by Ziwei. He searched the entire Changxin Marquis Manor last night and remembered everything. Not only was Ziwei's martial arts strong, but he also had a good memory and was even better at guiding the way. She quickly found this place. However, the courtyard of the Changxin Marquis madam was even more desolate than she had imagined. The dead leaves at the entrance of the courtyard had not been swept clean, and the scenery in the courtyard was bleak. There was only an old woman sitting at a stone table in the courtyard, slowly peeling water chestnuts. Her expression was blank. After peeling one, she sighed and rubbed her red eyes. Su Miaoyan pursed her lips and was inexplicably infected by her sorrowful aura. Sister Xue, she looks so pitiful. It makes me want to cry. Su Yingxue patted Su Miaoyan's shoulder and went forward with her. She said gently, "Excuse me, this is the courtyard of the Changxin Marquis madam. Is it convenient for us to meet madam?" The old woman suddenly turned around and immediately stood up. "It's madam's courtyard, but who are you? Why do you want to see madam?" Su Yingxue and Su Miaoyan looked like young ladies of noble families. Their auras were also extraordinary. The old woman was even more puzzled. Su Xinlan has never allowed anyone to visit our madam. How did you come in? Of course, we found our way in. Su Xinlan can't do anything to Sister Xue and me. Su Miaoyan winked mischievously. Sister Xue. The old woman was the dowry of the Changxin Marquis Madam, and her name was the character Sang. She was originally old Madam Sang, but after being tortured, she became Granny Sang. When she heard this, her mind spun and she looked at Su Yingxue in shock. Miss, could it be that you, the future 9th Princess Consort, Su Yingxue? Old Madam has lived here for a long time. You know Sister Xue. Su Miaoyan pouted her lips at Su Yingxue, indicating that she was awesome. Su Yingxue pinched her face and smiled faintly. I am here to pay my respects to Madam. I heard that Madam has been suffering from consumption for many years. My medical skills are shallow, so I came to treat Madam. This is the best thing that could happen. Old Madam Sang was so excited that she almost overturned the dustpan that was used to hold the water chestnuts. She quickly cleared the table and entered the room with the water chestnuts. She shouted, Madam, there's a new doctor here to treat you. It is the 9th Princess Consort. 9th Princess Consort. Old Madam Sang's voice woke the person on the bed up. Su Yingxue heard a series of heavy coughs followed by the sound of vomit. She thought to herself, it seems that the Changxin Marquis Madam is indeed beyond cure. So what? Sister Xue, your medical skills are so amazing. It's not a problem for you to revive the dead. Su Miaoyan raised her small face and had a blind admiration for Su Yingxue. Chapter 753, The Same Enemy, Su Xinlan. Su Yingxue once again wanted to pinch Su Miaoyan's face, but she quickly dodged, saying, One won't let you pinch me anymore. I still have to maintain my complexion to show it to my handsome brother. He said one looked cute. This is all for your handsome brother. You won't even let your sister show affection, Su Yingxue teased. Su Miaoyan murmured, handsome brother is kind to me. Of course, I want to keep my face intact to make him happy when he sees me. At the mention of Xiaoyu, the smile on Su Miaoyan's face brightened even more. Su Yingxue had thought that old Madam Sang would quickly let her in to see the Changxin Marquis Madam, but unexpectedly old Madam Sang did not emerge. Instead, there were intense screams from inside. Even if I die of illness, I won't accept charity from those surnamed Su. Su Xinlan wants to crush my pride, seize my power, harm my children, and then flaunt her success to me. She can forget about it. Hearing this, Su Yingxue took a deep breath. Su Miaoyan clicked her tongue. This madam has a bad temper. This madam must have been quite spirited too. Su Yingxue nodded. But women are ultimately inferior to men. Madam Su now has a daughter, and I'm afraid Su Xinlan is using her as leverage, especially considering her illness. That's why she has to compromise for the sake of her children. What a pitiful person. Therefore, Su Yingxue didn't intend to argue about being scolded. She walked directly into the inner room, lifting the heavy gauze curtains. Standing in front of Madam Su, she said, if you want to live another 2 years, don't scream like before. You. Who let you in? Get out. Su Xiaotian grabbed a pillow, about to throw it at Su Yingxue. Old Madam Sang quickly stood in front of Su Yingxue, taking the hit from the pillow. She then placed it behind Su Xiaotian and tearfully advised her, Madam, you can't. This Miss Su is not only the legitimate daughter of the Marquis of Marshall South's Manor but also the future 9th Princess Consort. You can't treat her like this. Besides, Miss Su is here to treat you, with good intentions. What good intentions? If the Su family could produce someone like Su Xinlan, how could there be any good people? Old General Su had a great reputation throughout his life. If he could raise a daughter like Su Xinlan, how could the Su family produce any good people? Xiaotian glared at Su Yingxue, her red eyes filled with hatred toward Su Xinlan, wishing to tear Su Yingxue into 1,000 pieces. My sister Xue is different from Su Xinlan. She's a genius doctor who has saved the deceased consort Xiang, cured fatal diseases, and even performed surgeries. She knows how to treat all the illnesses that doctors of the great Qing dynasty can treat, and even those they cannot. If you still want to live, you better not offend my sister Xue. Su Miaoyan spoke without pause, her face not showing any sign of embarrassment or breathlessness, effectively controlling Su Aoqing. Ignoring everything else, Su Yingxue's current identity as the 9th princess consort and her unparalleled medical skills were enough to inspire fear and admiration. Yet, Su Aoqing remained unwilling. Su Yingxue calmly stated, Madam's consumption is mainly caused by mental illness. If you want to cure your illness, you must first relax. Let me tell you something else. You decide whether you want me to treat you. Su Aoqing scolded her for a long time before she said this, and she did so without anger or annoyance, appearing very calm and composed. This made Su Aoqing admire her to some extent and sparked her curiosity. What is it? Madam and I have the same enemy, Su Xinlan. Su Yingxue's voice fell lightly. Chapter 754. The wind she longs for. Old Madame Sang widened her eyes. How could it be? Su Aoqing also wore a face of disbelief. While they both were in shock, Su Yingxue briefly summarized the situation to help them understand her intentions. Su Aoqing's expression changed several times, first shocked, then angrily cursed, simply heartless. To be willing to do such ruthless things to one's own family. You're the Su family's lady, her niece, how can she do this? Su Aoqing clutched her aching chest and coughed heavily, spitting out 2 mouthfuls of blood. Su Yingxue quickly approached, pressing on her pulse and then stuffing a piece of mint grass into her mouth. The mint grass was fresh and pleasant, making Su Aoqing's breath less turbid. She took a few breaths, her breathing became smooth, and her complexion also improved significantly. During this process, Su Yingxue had already felt her pulse. Su Aoqing's illness was indeed difficult to treat. If this continued, she would die within 2 years. Miss Su, do you think our madam can still be treated? Please save our madam. Madam is pitiful. Old Madame Sang immediately knelt. She kowtowed to Su Yingxue and cried continuously, evoking sympathy. Su Yingxue instructed, Miaoyan, help old Madame Sang up. Yes. Su Miaoyan quickly helped old Madame Sang up and said, Old Madame Sang, don't kneel to my sister. Sister treats people with kindness. She doesn't expect such gestures from you. It's too much, and sister will feel uncomfortable. Old Madame Sang quickly stopped crying, still in disbelief. Is that so? Su Miaoyan nodded. Su Yingxue gave her an appreciative look. Su Miaoyan knew her well. Su Miaoyan and Su Yingxue cooperated well. Su Yingxue diagnosed the illness, performed acupuncture, and prescribed medicine seamlessly. When she got up to prepare medicine for Su Aoqing, she also took down the heavy curtains in the room. Old Madame Sang was shocked. This. Miss Su, the doctor said the curtains must be properly hung. They said Madam's consumption can't be exposed to the wind. Otherwise, her condition will worsen. She won't recover. Which doctor said such nonsense? Your madam's illness requires daily ventilation by opening the window and coughing into the wind. This helps to expel the stagnant air from her lungs and bring in fresh air. Su Yingxue threw the gauze curtain aside and let Su Miaoyan watch. She went to a secluded spot in the courtyard and entered Medicine King Valley. Old Madame Sang watched as the curtain was pulled down. The wind blew in through the window, causing Xiaotian to start coughing. She stood anxiously by Xiaotian's bed, spinning around. What should we do? Madam, you've exposed yourself to the wind. Will your condition worsen? You. Move aside. Xiaotian, who hadn't breathed fresh air for a long time, regained her spirit. She looked longingly at the sky outside the window and reached out to catch a gust of wind. It was refreshing and cool. There was also a faint floral fragrance. It was really pleasant to smell. This wind was what she had longed for a long time. She was coughing because of the wind, but her face was much rosier. When Yingxue came in with the medicine, Xiaotian's eldest son came to visit her. Lingbai saw a stranger in his mother's yard and subconsciously became alert. Who are you? Yingxue was holding the medicine in her hand. She turned around abruptly and saw the handsome Lingbai. She immediately replied, I'm Yingxue. I'm a doctor here to treat madam. Chapter 755. Lingbai misunderstood. Lingbai was shocked the moment he heard Yingxue's name. Surnamed Su. What's your relationship with Xinlan? Thief. Leave my mother's courtyard quickly. How dare you hurt my mother again? I'll fight it out with you. He attempted to chase Yingxue away while Yingxue explained, my surname is Su, but I'm your mother's doctor. This is the medicine I prescribed for her. Surnamed Su, what good doctor could there be? You're just like that vicious woman, Xinlan. You only know how to harm people. Get lost. Lingbai grabbed a rod from the courtyard and attacked Yingxue. His movements were swift and accurate, forcing her to put down the medicine and engage in combat. During this time, Yingxue also practiced martial arts, making progress in both internal and external techniques. So when Lingbai fought with her, she immediately pulled out her soft whip from her waist. The whip danced like a snake, seemingly light. Dodging a move, Lingbai watched as the whip landed on a stone stool and shattered it. Lingbai widened his eyes. You have strong martial arts. He hated them even more now. Anyone surnamed Su and related to Xinlan was always so formidable. But just because they were so powerful, did they have to bully him and his mother? Anger surged in Lingbai's eyes. He swung his cudgel in a whirlwind towards Yingxue. Yingxue, with enough internal energy, whipped out and entangled the cudgel, forcing Lingbai to let go. Then she rolled up the long stick and raised it in the air. Paw! With a crisp sound, the rod shattered into pieces just like the stone stool earlier. Lingbai instinctively grabbed the saber at his waist. But while he was still hesitating, Yingxue's whip had already swung towards him. He gritted his teeth, gave up drawing his saber, and moved quickly to get in front of Yingxue, aiming to punch her and knock her down. Seeing that he had no weapon, Yingxue put away her whip and fought him barehanded. The two of them were fighting fiercely when Xiaotian heard the commotion inside. Old Madam sang, "Go out and see what happened." "Hey!" Old Madam Sang responded. Su Miaoyan also ran out. She saw Yingxue fighting with a strange man. After observing for a moment, she shouted, "Sister Shui, you can do it. Good luck." This man seemed to have good martial arts, but he was not Yingxue's match. He was very strong, but his moves were not as ingenious as Yingxue's. Yingxue exchanged a few moves with Lingbai. After figuring out his moves, she leaped into the air, drew her whip, and swung it at him. Lingbai was knocked to the ground. He pulled out his scabbard to block. He knew that this whip, containing powerful internal energy, would tear his skin and flesh. He was prepared to take the hit and continue attacking. Paw! After a loud thud, old Madam Sang threw herself onto Lingbai in horror and shouted, "Miss Su, please have mercy. This is eldest young master." Yingxue nodded and silently put away the whip. She turned around and went to the table to get the medicine. Lingbai stood up and shielded old Madam Sang behind him. "Old Madam Sang, don't be afraid. Even if I die, I won't let her hurt you and mother." He looked impulsive, but he did not attack at this moment. He roared at Yingxue, "Don't think that I'll show mercy next time just because you didn't hit me this time. Yingxue, I'll chase you out today." "Humph. You want my sister to stay? My sister isn't that free yet." Xiaotian immediately jumped out and glared at Lingbai. Chapter 756, Apologize to Yingxue. Lingbai was stunned for a moment. Your surname is also Su. What else would it be? Do you hate everyone with the surname Su so much? Do you think every person with the surname Su is a bad person? Su Miaoan's voice was crisp, carrying a hint of interrogation. Lingbai's eyes darkened momentarily. People with the surname Su are all bad. Especially Su Xinlan. There are countless people with the surname Su in this world. Is young Master Yi going to condemn all of them? Yingxue handed some medicine to old Madam Sang and said, "This is not the rational behavior one would expect from the heir of a Marquis manor." The title, heir, hurt Lingbai like a sharp weapon. He gripped his saber tightly, his eyes red as he glared at Yingxue. "I'm no longer the heir." This revelation surprised Yingxue. She only knew that in her previous life, 2 years later, Xiaotian died, Su Xinlan became the primary wife, and her son Yihong was made the heir of the Changxin Marquis manor. She hadn't expected that Lingbai had already lost his position as the heir. "Eldest young master, don't speak nonsense. Even though the Marquis talked about stripping you of the title, to officially remove an heir and appoint a new one requires reporting to the court and getting the emperor's approval. As long as Madam is alive, your title as heir won't be taken away. Young master, don't lose faith in yourself." Old Madam Sang's eyes were filled with bitter tears, but she still tried to encourage Lingbai. Lingbai gripped the saber in his hand but had no outlet for his emotions, feeling very uncomfortable. Instead of causing pain to your loved ones and joy to your enemies, wouldn't it be better for young Master Yi to think about how to keep your position as heir and plan for the future? Yingxue smiled and led Miaoyan back to Xiaotian's room. Xiaotian was still coughing, but her complexion looked better compared to when she was kept in long-term confinement. Yingxue had prepared 2 types of medicine for her. One was a decoction that required long-term use, and the other was a pill from Medicine King Valley, primarily made of peppermint with other supplements, designed to stop coughing and soothe the lungs. Yingxue gave Xiaotian a pill and had her swallow it, then asked her to take a few deep breaths to feel the medicine's effects. With each breath, Xiaotian felt like a broom was sweeping away the phlegm accumulated in her lungs. Old Madam Sang emptied the phlegm bowl and saw a hint of color return to Xiaotian's face. Old Madam Sang wept with joy. "Madam, your complexion looks much better." She wanted to kneel and thank Yingxue, but Yingxue pulled her up. "There's no need for that. Mother, how do you feel? Is a doctor here to treat you?" If he hadn't seen his mother's improved complexion with his own eyes, Lingbai would never have believed that someone with the surname Su would come to treat his mother. Could it be fake? My sister didn't come to treat her just to fight with you. Miaoyan raised her small face and snorted. Lingbai was instantly at a loss for words. What? Fighting? Linger, did you fight with Miss Su? Kneel. Xiaotian immediately put on a stern face. Lingbai obediently knelt by her bedside and listened to her scold him. How have I taught you? A real man must not act impulsively. You learned martial arts to protect the family and the nation, not to fight with women. Your behavior is utterly unacceptable. Xiaotian was so angry that she coughed heavily again, spitting out bloody phlegm. Chapter 757. Cure the Marquis. Madame of Changxin Lingbai was shocked and quickly tried to console her. Mother, it was my fault. I'll apologize to her right away. He stood up and bowed deeply to Yingxue. I acted impulsively earlier, and I'm sorry. Also, thank you, Dr. Su, for treating my mother. No need for thanks, Yingxue replied calmly. She could see that although Xiaotian had been ill for many years, she had never neglected her children's education and was a strict mother. As for Lingbai, although he was impulsive, he was capable of recognizing his mistakes and wasn't unreasonable. However, the reason he had lashed out made Yingxue feel the need to advise him. Young Master Yi, you hold a prestigious position. Even if the Marquis reprimands you and you temporarily lose the glory of being the heir, you must remember that as long as your title hasn't been officially taken away, you must uphold the dignity of an heir. Harboring such hatred for those surnamed Su and acting rashly is inappropriate. Miss Su is right. Xiaotian agreed wholeheartedly. She grasped Lingbei's hand. Linger, you must never act so impulsively again. If Xinlan, that wicked woman, hears about it, she'll only harm us further. Lingbai clenched his fists, suppressing his grievances. I understand, Mother. I will remember what you and Miss Su have said. He turned to Yingxue and bowed deeply again. Earlier, I was apologizing. This time, I want to sincerely thank you. From what I've seen, my mother's condition has greatly improved under your care. I beg you, Miss Su, to continue treating her and relieve her from this suffering. Yingxue smiled. I never start treating a patient only to stop halfway. I assure you, Madame's illness will be completely cured. She will recover and remain healthy for many years to come. Really? Lingbai was overjoyed. If Miss Su can truly cure my mother, I will no longer hold any grudge against people surnamed Su and will reward you generously. He only knew her as Yingxue and wasn't aware of her relationship with Xinlan. But he thought to himself, a woman as noble and compassionate as Yingxue, who embodies the heart of a healer, surely couldn't be like the venomous Xinlan. Yingxue shook her finger. You can continue to hold your grudge. After all, I do have conditions for curing Madame. What conditions? Xiaotian felt a bit anxious. She knew there was no such thing as a free lunch, and a genius doctor wouldn't just come to her door to treat her without reason. I want Xinlan expelled from the Changxin Marquis Manor and for Madame's children to take the place of Zhenzhen in the Marquis Manor. Yingxue spoke calmly and deliberately. But, isn't she your aunt? Old Madame Sang was astonished. On the other hand, Xiaotian looked thoughtfully at Yingxue and said, Miss Su is indeed a wise person. I have medical skills that can guarantee Madame's recovery. But can Madame guarantee that I will get what I want? Yingxue negotiated with Xiaotian based on mutual benefit. Though she had a healer's heart and would treat Xiaotian, she wasn't a person who did things out of sheer kindness. Every action she took had a purpose, which she conveyed to Xiaotian. Wait. Since you are Su Xinlan's niece, why would you do this? Lingbai couldn't understand the woman standing before him, who had seemed inscrutable from the very first moment they met. Because Xinlan is a bad person. Su Miaoyan interjected, raising her small face and snorting. Chapter 758. Xinlan came gritting her teeth. I and sister don't call her aunt at all. She tried to harm my two sisters. Our sister's going to let her do that. Su Miaoan's straightforward words immediately enlightened Yi Lingbai. That explains it, Yi Lingbai muttered. However, he immediately frowned and shouted angrily, Su Xinlan truly harms everyone around her. For her benefit, she doesn't even spare her nieces. Such a wicked woman deserves no good end. How she meets her end will depend on madam and your actions. Su Yingxue smiled and pointed to the pile of medicine on the table. These are the medicines I've prescribed for madam. They will ensure her recovery and protect her from Su Xinlan's harm. When madam is well enough to get out of bed, you're welcome to visit the Marquis of Marshall South's manor anytime. Su Aoking's pale lips tightened with resolve. I will not let down Miss Su's goodwill. Though still a pale, sickly patient, Su Yingxue saw a spark of determination in Su Aoking's eyes and smiled in satisfaction. Su Yingxue, you might have a grudge against me, but why take it out on my sister? If anything happens to her, can you bear the responsibility? Su Xinlan's shouting drew closer. Instinctively, Yi Lingbai drew his saber and stepped protectively in front of Su Yingxue and Su Miaoyan. Su Yingxue's eyes shone with approval. Su Miaoyan, clinging to Su Yingxue's arm, said, Sister, he didn't draw his saber earlier, which shows he's an upright and honest person. No wonder he suffers at Su Xinlan's hands. The upright and honest often suffer when dealing with the cunning and cruel. Su Yingxue patted her head and praised, your ability to read people has improved. But remember, evil never triumphs over good. Someone as treacherous as Su Xinlan will eventually be defeated by justice. But sometimes, when justice doesn't come by itself, it needs a little help from you, sister. Su Miaoyan said with a mischievous wink. Su Yingxue pinched her nose. Where did you learn that from? Su Miaoyan stuck out her tongue, not answering. She hadn't learned it from anyone in particular, but perhaps from spending time with her handsome brother and observing how he handled things. In this world, the first person she admired was Su Yingxue, and the second was her handsome brother. They were like celestial beings to her. Su Xinlan's shouting was a deliberate attempt to ensure everyone in the manor heard her, hoping to throw dirt on Su Yingxue's name. But when she walked in and saw the color returning to Su Aoking's face, her heart nearly stopped. Sister, what is this? Why didn't she look like she was on the brink of death anymore? Had Su Yingxue treated her? Su Yingxue! What have you done to my sister? She holds a noble position, you can't just handle her however you like. Su Xinlan spat out through gritted teeth. She wished she could tear Su Yingxue apart. This wretched woman. Su Yingxue laughed lightly. Anyone with eyes can see that I've treated Madam, not harmed her. Madam Lan, are your eyes failing too? Would you like me to treat them as well? You, Su Xinlan choked on her words. Yi Lingbai looked at Su Yingxue in surprise. She truly dared to speak her mind. In the strict and disciplined Changxin Marquis manor, they hated Su Xinlan in private but never dared to insult her openly. Yet, Su Yingxue could speak so freely and comfortably. It was truly enviable. Chapter 759, You Want to Accuse Su Yingxue? Dream on. All, sister, did you forget? Not only is her eyesight bad, but her heart isn't in the right place either. Otherwise, how could Madam have been ill for so many years? Su Miaoyan said loudly, clinging to Su Yingxue's arm. Exactly. Madam's illness has persisted despite our aunt's care for so many years and has only worsened. Our dear aunt has indeed done an impressive job, Su Yingxue replied with a smile. That's nonsense. Since I married into the Marquis manor, I have respected my sister and always thought of her well-being. I spent many silvers on doctors and tonics for her. There hasn't been a day I didn't hope for her recovery. Su Yingxue, How dare you come to the Marquis Manor and slander me without any evidence? Su Xinlan angrily retorted. Is it slander? Then, Aunt, please tell us which doctors you invited. I'd like to discuss with them why an illness that could have been cured has dragged on for so long. Su Yingxue challenged, raising an eyebrow. Su Xinlan's composure cracked. If Su Yingxue were as clueless as Lingbai and the others, she might have managed to bluff her way through. But Su Yingxue was a doctor who ran her clinic and was likely acquainted with all the renowned doctors in the city. A conversation with them would reveal the truth about the bribe she had given to ensure Xiaotian wasn't properly treated. Grinding her teeth, Su Xinlan said, "Many doctors have visited the manor, and I can't recall all their names. But even the Marquis himself has invited doctors. Are you suggesting the Marquis would harm Madame?" Su Yingxue, don't assume that a bit of medical knowledge gives you the right to diagnose haphazardly. If you harm Madame, the Marquis won't spare you. If there's a problem, I'll take full responsibility. Su Aoking's voice came from the bed, weak but determined. Her words were punctuated by coughs and phlegm, but each cough seemed to relieve her somewhat. Despite her frail, skeletal frame, her eyes were sharp as they fixed on Su Xinlan. I trust Dr. Su. But you, Su Xinlan, you don't trust your niece and even try to wrong her. Holding her head high, Su Xinlan replied, I don't trust her because I care about your health. If anything happens to you under Su Yingxue's care, you'll be blamed. It's better not to let her treat you, sister. I can't bear that responsibility. With that, Su Xinlan ordered the steward to throw Su Yingxue out. Today was a grave mistake allowing these Su family sisters into the manor, and she glared at the steward to emphasize her point. Hurry up. The steward walked up to Su Yingxue and said, Miss Su, this is the Changxin Marquis Manor, you should. Before he could finish, Lingbai's saber was at his throat. Lingbai stood protectively in front of Su Yingxue and Su Miaoyan, radiating fury. Miss Su is my mother's doctor. You will not lay a finger on her. All of you, get out. Eldest young master, are you planning to defy the Marquis? Don't forget, the Marquis has already decreed you are no longer the heir. Be careful, or you might lose even the right to stay in the manor. Su Xinlan's eyes glinted with a hidden threat. She had been in the Changxin Marquis Manor for years, and Su Xinlan had Xiaotian and her children thoroughly under her control. She had already sabotaged Lingbai's career and stripped him of his heir title. Despite his upright nature, he was now just a useless man kept at home. How could he possibly fight against her? Chapter 760, Startle. Marquis Changxin Lingbai gritted his teeth. He knew he wasn't Su Xinlan's match, not in terms of his father's favor or his current standing in the household. But he would not back down. Looking Su Xinlan straight in the eye, he said firmly, even if father punishes me, I will never let you harm Dr. Su and her sister. Even if I am expelled from the Marquis Manor, I will have no regrets. Such noble spirit. Su Xinlan sneered. There was a hint of mockery in her eyes. A straightforward person, no matter how spirited, was useless. She waved her hand decisively. Men, throw Su Yingxue and Su Miaoyan out of the manor. They have disturbed my sister's rest. From now on, they are not to set foot in this courtyard and disturb my sister's recovery. Lingbai could hold a saber to the steward's throat, but he couldn't kill all the household servants and guards Su Xinlan had brought with her. Su Xinlan ordered them all to attack, forcing Lingbai to be separated from Su Yingxue and fight the palace guards alongside the household servants in the courtyard. Su Xinlan immediately ordered the palace guards to seize Su Yingxue. She was determined to throw this wretched girl out. With her here, Xiaotian might get better, and she couldn't allow that. Sister, what do we do? Su Miaoyan asked. Su Miaoyan looked at the armed palace guards surging in, feeling somewhat at a loss. She didn't know martial arts and feared she might be a hindrance to Su Yingxue. "Madam, don't be afraid," old Madam Sang shielded Su Aoqing, but Su Aoqing directed her to protect Su Yingxue instead. "Hurry up, protect Miss Su. She is my savior. She must not be harmed." "Yes, madam." Old Madam Sang stood in front of Su Yingxue, using her frail body to block the palace guards. The chief imperial guard stepped forward menacingly, shoving old Madam Sang aside and cursing, "Get lost, old hag." Old Madam Sang stumbled and fell, struggling to get up. As the palace guard reached for Su Yingxue, she lashed out with a whip, striking his face and knocking him to the ground, blood streaming from his face. "Ah! It hurts. My face, Su Yingxue, are you mad? How dare you attack someone from the Changxin Marquis Manor?" Su Xinlan's eyes widened in shock. The more brazen Su Yingxue was, the more she wanted to crush her spirit. "Seize her. Seize her now." Today, not only did she want to capture Su Yingxue, but she also wanted to openly send her to the Marquis of Martial South's manor, in front of her father, so that her father could see what Su Yingxue had done. How could she ever dream of becoming the 9th princess consort? Humph. Su Yingxue sneered, her figure moving swiftly as she knocked down several palace guards, and then she directly approached Su Xinlan. She grabbed her by the throat and pulled her close. "Aunt, do you think you can catch me?" Su Yingxue, Su Xinlan's breath was cut off, her eyes bulging as she struggled to speak. "You dare hurt me in the Changxin Marquis Manor? Aunt, don't forget, you attacked me first. Even if the old Marquis came, I doubt he would blame me." Su Yingxue smiled, her eyes curving into beautiful crescents. Su Miaoyan cheered from the side, "Sister Xue, you're the best." Even Su Aoqing was stunned, she was not expecting Su Yingxue to have such courage to choke Su Xinlan. "The Marquis is here, what are you doing? Everyone, stop at once." A man's voice, old yet powerful, echoed through the courtyard. Su Yingxue raised an eyebrow. "Looks like we've attracted the attention of Marquis Changxin." Chapter 761, almost sent away. Su Xinlan's heart sank with a sense of impending danger. But as Marquis Changxin stepped into the room, she immediately squeezed out 2 tears. She appeared like a helpless woman as she cried, "Marquis, save me. She wants to kill me. What's going on here?" Marquis Changxin, in his 60s but still robust, had remained composed despite years of experience in court. His gaze briefly swept over Su Xinlan before he quickly bowed, "I pay respects to the 9th princess consort. I hope the 9th princess consort forgives me for not greeting from afar." "Marquis," Su Xinlan widened her eyes in disbelief. Why did the Marquis bow to Su Yingxue instead of helping her? Wasn't she still yet to marry Chuihan? Su Yingxue was also surprised by the Marquis' gesture. "Marquis, you're too kind." "What? 9th princess consort?" Su Aoqing, secluded for many years, was out of touch with current events. If Su Yingxue hadn't come today, she wouldn't have known about her identity as the 9th princess consort. She quickly got out of bed and bowed to Su Yingxue, "I pay respects to the 9th princess consort." Lingbai pays respects to the 9th princess consort. Even Lingbai had just learned about Su Yingxue's additional title. Su Yingxue felt a bit awkward. "Please, rise." She wasn't used to such formalities as Chuihan was. Su Miaoyan voiced her confusion, "Sister Xue isn't married yet. Why are you bowing to her?" Others might have let it pass, but Marquis Changxin was a legitimate marquis with an official position. Even he paid his respects. Marquis Changxin seemed to answer everyone's confusion. Earlier in the morning court, the ninth prince announced that the name of the ninth princess consort would be added to the family tree of the imperial clan. Her status as a princess consort is now established. To others, it would have been necessary to bow to the heavens and enter the bridal chamber to be considered married. Establishing the ancestral hall and entering the family tree were tasks for the day after the wedding. But Chui Han had accelerated this process. Su Yingxue's status as the ninth princess consort was firmly established, even if they didn't hold a wedding ceremony. She had become the ninth princess consort legitimately. This was something the old Marquis knew better than anyone in the room. Su Yingxue's lips curved slightly, feeling sweet at the thought of Chui Han. However, this didn't stop her from continuing to hold Su Xinlan by the throat. Su Xinlan's face had turned purple, her eyes rolling back as she struggled to speak. "Marquis, save me." Marquis Changxin's eyes flashed with a hint of pity. He held a serious expression as he said, "I don't know what crime Lanor has committed to deserve such punishment from the ninth princess consort. If I'm not mistaken, the ninth princess consort is also Lanor's niece. Any man seeing his beloved woman held by someone else wouldn't be pleased." If Su Yingxue didn't have the status of ninth princess consort, the Marquis wouldn't have tolerated her for so long. Su Yingxue didn't release her grip, instead, she tightened it, while explaining to the Marquis, "If Aunt cared about family ties, I wouldn't have to resort to this. But when I came to see Madame, she attacked me, threatened to expel me from the Marquis Manor, which frightened me into acting rashly, and I ended up laying hands on her." Su Yingxue sighed lightly as if she were genuinely aggrieved by her actions. Su Xinlan was almost driven crazy by Su Yingxue's words. How dare she claim to be aggrieved? She was the one who felt aggrieved. Chapter 762, Stop Pretending. The uninvited guest, Su Yingxue, had disrupted her plans. Su Xinlan had merely instructed someone to take action against her but ended up being choked by her. She had almost been strangled to death. Marquis Changxin's expression changed slightly. Lanor has always been gentle. How could she behave like this? Gentle? Su Yingxue raised her eyebrows. It seemed like the old Marquis had been deceived by Su Xinlan. Regardless of what Lanor has done, she belongs to my Changxin Marquis Manor and is also the aunt of the ninth princess consort. Ninth princess consort, please release your first and stop troubling her, Marquis Changxin said. He still showed concern for Su Xinlan. If the person choking Su Xinlan had not been Su Yingxue, he wouldn't have been so polite earlier. Su Yingxue released Su Xinlan. Su Xinlan immediately rushed into Marquis Changxin's arms, crying softly, appearing fragile. Marquis Changxin was also busy comforting her. Despite the significant age difference between the two, their intimate huddling made it seem like they had a deep emotional bond. Marquis Changxin patted Su Xinlan's back to console her. "There, Lanor, with me here, you don't need to be afraid. Marquis, if you hadn't come, I would have been dead. If I die, it's not a big deal, but I can't afford to involve my sister. She's so sick, and if her condition worsens, what will happen to her?" Su Xinlan was in tears and snot. Instead of thinking about herself, she was showing concern for Su Xiaotian. Su Xiaotian felt disgusted by Su Xinlan's fake compassion. "Enough. Do you think I don't know that my illness is not because of you? Enough. Have you said enough? If you're ill, then focus on recuperating. Has this mansion ever lacked anything for you or treated you poorly? Hasn't Lanor treated you well enough over the years? I feel sorry for her." Marquis Changxin showed gentle affection towards Su Xinlan but only expressed anger towards Su Xiaotian. Su Xiaotian lowered her eyes in distress, tears swirling in her eye sockets. "Father, Mother didn't mean to distort the truth. After Dr. Su's treatment, Mother's condition indeed improved. Look at Mother's face, it's much better, and she can speak a few more words. Lingbai quickly went forward to explain to Xiaotian. Marquis Changxin glanced at Xiaotian. Her complexion had indeed improved significantly. Then, his gaze shifted to Yingxue. I've heard that the 9th Princess Consort's medical skills are outstanding. Today, 9th Princess Consort, I thank you for your efforts. Yingxue nodded. You're welcome, Marquis. Originally, she hadn't planned to get deeply involved in the affairs of Changxin Marquis Manor. But seeing Xinlan's helpless appearance, she realized that if she didn't intervene, Xiaotian and Lingbai might suffer. So, she tilted her head and said, Marquis, I don't mind treating Madam, but don't you want to know why her illness is so severe, to the point where she can't even get out of bed? Some doctors even say that she won't survive for more than a few years. Marquis Changxin looked surprised. Have you met the doctors who treated Madam before? Yingxue shook her head. I haven't, but after examining Madam's pulse, I can guess what the doctors might say. What could be the reason then? After all, she was the wife he had officially married. Even if he had no feelings for her, Marquis Changxin still cared about her. Yingxue was about to speak when Xinlan hastily interrupted, Marquis. Yingxue is my niece from my maternal family. Although she had exceptional medical skills, but recently, we've had many conflicts. As she spoke, she grabbed her handkerchief and began to wipe her tears. Her low and hoarse voice carried a weak sob. She has always held a grudge against Zhenzhen's matter. The other day when I was scolded by Father, she was involved too. Chapter 763, It's going to be exposed. I don't know what I did wrong to deserve her hatred like this, yet she still comes to Marquis Manor to slander me and beat me. If Marquis doesn't believe in my sincere effort to get a doctor for my sister, then I might as well die. As she cried, she rushed towards the nearby wall. Marquis Changxin quickly pulled her back into his arms. He gently coaxed her, Laner, what are you doing? How could I not believe in you and trust an outsider? Instantly, his gaze towards Yingxue turned hostile. 9th Princess Consort, with your noble status, I dare not argue with you. But by entering our manor today and troubling your aunt, you have shown a lack of filial piety. Please leave at once. I will continue to seek a doctor for my wife's illness. You need not concern yourself further. Marquis Changxin was about to expel them. Yingxue furrowed her brows. Xinlan truly had Marquis Changxin's favor. Father. The 9th Princess Consort came to save Mother, not to cause trouble. Lingbai pleaded, tugging at Marquis Changxin's robe. Marquis Changxin brushed him off without looking. Shut up. I didn't discipline you enough for your previous mistake. I'll have you focus on literature and martial arts in the manor. You've disappointed me by not improving yourself, not protecting Laner, and siding with outsiders. Father, Lingbai, a tall man, was now red-eyed with grievance. He dedicated himself to studying and training every day, yet he was still seen as lacking. As for Xinlan, this woman had caused him to lose his father's trust and hurt his mother and sisters. Why should he protect her? He wished he could kill her. Marquis, there's no need to be so angry. I understand the 9th Princess Consort's intentions. Let me show you her medical skills. Xiaotian coughed as she spoke, barely supporting her frail body as she got out of bed and approached Marquis Changxin. Marquis Changxin was surprised. You have the strength to get out of bed now? Yes, Marquis. Not only did I get out of bed, but I also removed all the curtains in the room. I don't feel as suffocated anymore. It's all thanks to the 9th Princess Consort. She gave me medicine once, and I've improved significantly. Xiaotian looked gratefully at Yingxue and nodded. Marquis, the 9th Princess Consort's medical skills are truly exceptional. A compassionate healer like her cannot have a bad character. Xiaotian had much more to say, especially about Xinlan's crimes, but she knew Marquis Changxin wouldn't believe her. Therefore, she had to endure for now. Yingxue looked satisfied. It seemed Xiaotian was ready to confront Xinlan. Her efforts hadn't been in vain. Marquis, if you doubt me, would you trust the imperial physician? Why not invite them to examine Madame's illness? Also, the doctor my aunt often calls upon must come and assess Madame's condition. Yingxue smiled. In Marquis Changxin's arms, Xinlan trembled. Yingxue, this bitch. If she brought those doctors, she would be exposed. Xinlan pounded Marquis Changxin's chest and cried. If Marquis believes outsiders over me, then so be it. I'll have the steward call the usual doctor to treat sister with Yingxue. I don't believe my feelings for my sister can change just because of a change in a doctor. Chapter 764. The 9th Prince's men are here. Xinlan gently broke free and called for the steward. Marquis Changxin hesitated. Forget it, why mobilize so many people? It's already a joyous occasion if Madame's illness can be cured. Laner, I believe in you. Marquis Changxin still held Xinlan, looking very affectionate. Yingxue sighed. She didn't expect Marquis Changxin to be so firmly in Xinlan's grasp. Sister Xue, this is a bit tricky. Miaoyan frowned, recalling her handsome brother. If he were here, he would surely have a solution. Marquis, the imperial physicians and doctors have arrived. Would you like to know the truth of the matter? Han brought them in. She gracefully approached Marquis Changxin, greeted him, and presented the individual she had brought. Yingxue's eyes sparkled. The head of the Imperial Medical Academy and this doctor, sister, did you arrange this? She hadn't expected Han to be so attentive. Han chuckled. It's the 9th Prince's concern for Changxin Marquis Madame that led him to invite these two, along with Yingxue. With 3 doctors in attendance, there's no doubt about Changxin Marquis Madame's recovery, is there? Your Highness. Yingxue smiled and thought, how considerate of Han. Wow, Your Highness is something. Miaoyan exclaimed in admiration. Xinlan gritted her teeth in frustration. Han. Yingxue and Han were both getting the situation worse. Marquis Changxin looked at the 2 individuals Han had brought. One was the head of the Imperial Medical Academy, and the other was Dr. Huang, who treated Xiaotian. He vaguely remembered them. Since they were already here, he couldn't refuse. In that case, please both treat Madame. I'd like to see the extent of the 9th Princess Consort's medical skills, Marquis Changxin said, his gaze probing Yingxue. Yingxue allowed him to inspect her openly. As the 2 treated Xiaotian, she remained quietly by their side. When Lingbai stood beside her, she offered him a piece of advice. Young Master Yi, in the future, avoid arguments. If you find an opportunity, strike your enemies where it hurts. If not, endure and wait for the right moment. Very few people besides his mother would speak to Lingbai like this. Lingbai looked at Yingxue gratefully. I understand. Thank you, 9th Princess Consort. You're welcome, Yingxue replied with a wave of her hand. The court physician and doctor had finished treating Xiaotian. The head of the Imperial Medical Academy remained composed as he informed Marquis Changxin, Madame's illness is indeed severe, but the 9th Princess Consort's medical skills are exceptional and have significantly improved her condition. This wasn't the first time he was impressed by Su Yingxue's skills, but each time left him convinced. Beside him, Dr. Huang, who treated Su Xiaotian regularly, seemed a bit uneasy. Madam's illness has been accumulating for years. It needs to be treated slowly. In my opinion, the medication is a bit too strong. Upon hearing this, Su Xinlan immediately began to cry in front of Marquis Changxin. Marquis, please listen. It's not that I've done anything wrong. I'm just afraid that using too much medication will worsen my sister's condition. One genuinely wish for my sister's speedy recovery. She cried so pitifully that Marquis Changxin's heart ached. He looked at Su Yingxue with an unfriendly gaze. Ninth Princess Consort, while you've helped Madam improve, the medication is too aggressive. What if her body can't handle it? Chapter 765, Expose. Su Yingxue narrowed her eyes and walked over to Dr. Huang's side. As a doctor, treating and saving lives is your duty. Dr. Huang, do you not feel guilty for making such unfounded accusations? Dr. Huang was shaken by her words, his whole body trembling. Having engaged in money matters too often, he had indeed buried his conscience. His original intention to study medicine seemed to have been long forgotten. Now brought to light by Su Yingxue, he felt overwhelming shame. However, he knew well that they were in the Marquis Manor. Saying the wrong thing here could result in more than just losing the silver he had earned. He feigned composure and then, stroking his beard, said, I have been practicing medicine for decades, particularly treating Marquis Changxin's madam. 1 am well aware of her condition. The ninth princess consort's use of medication is indeed reckless. Just as Su Xinlan was about to rejoice, the headmaster suddenly rebuked, reckless? One think you're nothing more than a charlatan. How dare you call yourself a doctor? Dr. Huang's hand trembled as he stroked his beard. Su Xinlan quickly defended Dr. Huang. Headmaster, although you hold the position of headmaster at the Imperial Medical Academy, Dr. Huang is quite respected in Jiangdu City. How can you say such things? Having prestige without the intention to treat and save lives does not make one a qualified doctor. One have already given him considerable respect. The headmaster pointed to Su Xiaotian's phlegm container. The patient's phlegm contains impure blood, indicating long-term lung congestion. If Dr. Huang truly understood treatment, he would first clear the respiratory tract and then administer medication to eliminate it. Unlike the ninth princess consort, who initially used strong medication, the patient shows no signs of weakness at present. Evidently, after the ninth princess consort's aggressive treatment, she followed up with tonic medicine and gentle treatment. Only through precise medication and acupuncture can good results be achieved. He glanced at Dr. Huang, his eyes narrowed. Yet Dr. Huang accuses the ninth princess consort of excessive medication. Can you accurately identify what medication the ninth princess consort used after examining her pulse? Dr. Huang's eyes widened. Well, he genuinely couldn't determine what medication Su Yingxue had used. Moreover, Su Xiaotian's rapid and peculiar recovery was beyond his capabilities. Su Yingxue approached Dr. Huang. She wasn't interested in Dr. Huang's medical skills, but rather, she asked him curiously, may first ask, Dr. Huang, who instructed you to treat madam in this manner? Dr. Huang was startled. Su Yingxue's probing gaze felt like a sharp sword piercing straight into his heart, causing him inexplicable panic. While Dr. Huang panicked, Su Xinlan was busy crying in front of Marquis Changxin. Marquis, please listen to what Yingxue is saying. Although she is now the ninth princess consort and holds a high status, she doesn't respect me as her aunt. However, this is the Marquis Manor, your home. I have faithfully served you for many years and have endured hardships even without rewards. I am even more sincere to my sister. Who would have thought that the 9th princess consort would come and suspect me like this? Every word she uttered accused Yingxue of arrogance due to her status and of interfering recklessly in the affairs of the Marquis Manor. Marquis Changxin naturally felt displeased. 9th princess consort, despite your noble status and exceptional medical skills, it doesn't give you the right to belittle other doctors. Moreover, you show disrespect towards Laner. This is not how a junior should behave. Marquis. Being a good elder isn't easy.